And here we are once again for Wind Tunnel Wednesdays. I am Coach James. I'm the creator and lead instructor of All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including, but not limited to, aerodynamics, drag, lift, downforce, elastic energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force, and Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion. Once we have gone over all the science and we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars. And once I've brought in those Hot Wheels cars, then the students have an opportunity to select a car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned. They select their Hot Wheels cars, they examine their Hot Wheels cars, they take pictures, they weigh the cars, they test the speed of the cars. And ultimately, after they've documented everything that they can observe, we take the cars to the track and have a tournament and find out which car is the fastest, but also the students observe how their cars performed, and did their car perform up to or below their expectations, and if they had the opportunity, would they select that car again? So we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, we learn science, and what could be better. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents Wind Tunnel Wednesdays. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesdays? Well, I bought a 1/64th scale wind tunnel, and it works just like larger wind tunnels that are used for airplanes and cars and race cars and vehicles of all sizes, but it's scaled down so that it fits Hot Wheels cars. So we can put Hot Wheels cars into the wind tunnel, turn on the streams of smoke and fog, and they flow over, under, and around the Hot Wheels cars, and we can observe their different aerodynamic profiles and properties. Ultimately, the goal is to see how the air flows around the cars, how the air flows around our fastest cars. And then we should be able to, after we observe enough cars in the wind tunnel, we should be able to see trends so that we can look at the results in the wind tunnel and determine how that car should perform on our track. Now, there's other factors that come into play, but drag is probably the biggest factor on our track. We have a straight drag track, and the cars are shot out with a lot of force, and the faster an object moves through the air, the more drag has an impact, and therefore, if you can reduce the drag, you can find a car with less drag, then you'll find a car that performs better on our track. So we're going to put the cars in the wind tunnel, take a look at how they perform, and see what we can observe. And then on Saturdays, we have At the Track Live, which is where we take the cars and take them to the track, and we have a tournament. And if you would like to participate, either today or on Saturday, all you have to do is you go to atthetrack.live, it's down there, and you're going to have 3 options. One is the YouTube stream link, one is the Twitch stream link, but the third option, that's the most important one, is the one that says choose a car. If you select that option, you will be taken to a page that I can pull up here, and it looks like this. And all of the cars in the All About Aerodynamics At the Track Live fleet are listed and numbered. And we currently have 820, I think 24 or 25, 825 cars listed. And there are fantasy cars, there are cars based on real cars, cars from the 70s, cars from the 80s, cars from the 90s, 2000s, and some that just came out recently, and the latest group of Hot Wheels cars to hit store shelves. So all you have to do is, on Saturday, find the car that you think would be fastest, and you take that number, you drop it in the chat, and then I pull the car, and once I pull the car, then we will enter it into the tournament. We'll take it to the track, and you will get to see how your car performs. Is it the fastest car? Can it beat our fastest in-fleet car? Can you become the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live champion? I don't know. But you have hundreds and hundreds of cars to choose from. But before we get to Saturday, we have Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So if there's a car you're thinking about picking, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, go to the Choose a Car section, find the car, I'll pull the car, and I'll put it in the wind tunnel, and you can take a look at the aerodynamic profile. How does the air flow over, under, and around the car? If it's similar to what we see from our fastest cars, the cars that we know are fast, then maybe it's a good pick for you, and it will be worthwhile. If you see something in the aerodynamic profile that suggests, nah, that's not the car, then you have time to make another pick. So that is what we're doing. So all you have to do, again, is go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car, go to this page, find the car, take the number, drop it in the chat. I'll pull the car, we'll throw it in the wind tunnel, and that is how it's done. Hey, how you doing, Virgo Cool and Roughshod? Now, Roughshod has been picking cars for a while at the Track Live, and he has already put in his pick for this Saturday's races, and we are going to throw that car into the wind tunnel and take a look at the aerodynamic profile, because there's a couple of little parts on the car that I'm curious to see how the air is going to interact with those. And based on what he sees, maybe he keeps the same selection, or maybe he makes a different choice. Ultimately, the goal is to try and beat our fastest in-fleet car. And currently, our fastest in-fleet car is this one. It is the Gazella R. And it is, and has been, our fastest in-fleet champion, the fastest car in the fleet for about 15 weeks. And it is coming up on 17 weeks. That would be March 29th. And why is that important? It's important because the car that the Gazella beat to become our fastest in-fleet champion, the Blitz Beater, was the fastest in-fleet car for 17 weeks. And then the Gazella came along, beat that car out. So on the 17th week, when the Gazella hits the 17th week as champion, we're going to bring back the Blitz Beater, and we are going to have a championship rematch on our track at the Track Live, and that will be Saturday, March 29th. But before the Gazella can get there, it has to beat the cars that show up this Saturday. And one of the cars that will be showing up is this one. This is the one that Roughshod picked. It is the Scupa de Fuego. And it has, just based off the shape alone, it looks like a car that should do well on our track. The part that I was mentioning that I was concerned about are these two openings right here. And I wanted to see if they were holes that went all the way through to the back of the car, or if they were sealed. If they're sealed at some point, then I presume the air is going to go into that little area and kind of get trapped. Now, how much that makes a difference for this car, how much does it slow it down, it's hard to say, but we can definitely see that it is not a clear opening. It gets stopped up somewhere because it has this plastic part in the back for the tail lights, and it doesn't go straight through. So, how much of a difference will this make? I don't know. If the races are close, then every little thing could possibly make a difference or not. But we are going to find out. So I'm going to stick this car into the wind tunnel and take a look and see what we see. I guess I should start off by putting the Gazella in the wind tunnel, just so we have a baseline to look at, to know kind of what to look for in a car that is fast on our track. So let me get the Gazella lined up. Switch over there, and we will lock this down and get this thing fired up. I've been working on ways to try and reduce the glare, but so far it's still a work in progress. So let's see what we can do. And so this wind tunnel, it has two options. There are the 5 streams, which is what we're seeing now, and then there's an option there's a option for just 1 stream, and it's a different nozzle that I have to attach. But you can see right here, so this is at 40 miles per hour simulated, so I'm going to turn it up. And now we're up to 94 miles per hour simulated. And we have, what we're seeing is what we usually see with this car when we've put it in the wind tunnel before, is we see the air hitting the front of the car and just flowing right along the body line. There's no separation, and that's basically what you would like to see. If I raise this up, then the bottom of these cars are all flat, and so the air should just travel cleanly right under the bottom of the car. But I'm going to turn this up. We're now at 107 miles per hour simulated. 121. And again, we're up to 134 miles per hour simulated, and you still don't really see much separation. There's a little bit toward this back end, but not anything significant like what you'll see with most other cars. And even as we turn it up, we are seeing, so now we're at 174 miles per hour, and there is a little separation here, but again, it's not as much as you're going to see with some of the other cars. And then the air comes off, hits the wing. It's coming up from the diffuser, and you see this turbulent air swirling around at the back. What we don't want to see is air just becoming disconnected from the car early, and turbulent air. It's just going to create more drag, and ultimately you have to reduce the drag if you want the car to perform at a high level. So now we'll take this up to, this is at 215 miles per hour, and now you definitely see the separation in this area, but still it's not as bad, not as serious as you would see with some other cars. So that's the gold standard right there, the Gazella R, and we know that is our fastest car in the fleet. It is and has been for a while, and so whatever we can observe happening with that car is what you want to look for in whatever car that you pick. So Roughshod said, I've been thinking about car 286 for a while. Wild design, open front wheels. So we can go ahead and let's take a look and see which car that is before I go and pull it. It said 286. Again, if you would like to pick a car to throw into the wind tunnel, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, select the choose a car option, and you can find the car you want. And just like Roughshod did, give me the number, I will pull that car and we will take a look. So let's see, right here, 286. Okay, we are looking at the two jets, and Now this is interesting because with this one, I think I'd be concerned with the weight. The design is pretty much on point because it's got the that bullet shape to it, and I think that's definitely an aerodynamic shape if there ever was one. So we will pull it. I think that aerodynamically, I think this car is great. Now, yeah, the question is, will it stay on the track? Because our track does, our launcher, it's a custom launcher that I designed, and it shoots the car out with a lot of force, and that was the intent. Because again, the faster a car is moving through the air, the easier it is to see some of these, the impact of drag, Isaac Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. We can see the car bouncing around the track. There's just a lot of things that it's easier to observe with the cars moving faster. So I will pull this Two Jets car and we'll take a look at that. But first, we are going to go back over to the wind tunnel, and we've got the Scupa de Fuego in there, and I might need to move it up just a little bit. Push this up right here. And last time I put a little magnet underneath the car just to lift it up just a little bit so that we could get that bottom stream of air hitting just below the bumper so that we could see how the air flowed beneath the car as well. Might do that later, but since we didn't do that with the Gazella, let's just see how the Scupa de Fuego, how that compares with what we saw from the Gazella. So let's get this thing turned on. See that nice flow. Right now we're at 53 miles per hour, and there's a little dial on the side of the Windsible that shows you what the simulated miles per hour are of the air. And so right now we're at 53. I'm going to step this up. Okay, so now we're at 80. And something that's interesting is it looks, so if we count that there's 5 streams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so this first stream is hitting the car and coming up over the top, and then in here, because there's kind of an open area right at the base of the windshield, it's almost like a little hole, and the air is kind of swirling around in there. I'm going to see if I can get a view of it. And this is the part that's a little hard to see. You can kind of see if you look right at the base of the windshield right there. You can kind of see that the air is just kind of swirling around right in there and then kind of coming off the windshield. It's a little tough to see, but even if you kind of keep your eye right in this area, you can see how it's swirling around right in there and then coming back over the top. Now with and this is at 80 miles an hour. Let's turn it up and see if we see something different. So we're not really seeing a clean, this stream right here, we're not really seeing it cleanly move over the top of the car. Yeah, it is, yeah, almost like a front spoiler. And it's just like the air is, I wonder, I'm trying to see, because I can see it from the angle I'm looking at. You can kind of see if you look right at the base of the windshield. See how the air is swirling around in sort of a clockwise, it's just swirling around. right in there. And that is not, I mean, we'll see ultimately when the car is on the racetrack, but we're not really seeing, like, we definitely don't want to see turbulent air this far at the front of the car. Now at the back, we're used to seeing that as the air pulls off the back of the car and comes up from the bottom. We're used to this. That's not really an issue because with these Hot Wheels cars, we're not so much concerned about downforce as much as we are drag. So let's see here. We have this car. I'm wondering also, again, about these two openings here. And so I think what I'm going to have to do, yeah, exactly, Roughshod, we're on the exact same page. I'm going to have to slide this because when the car is lined up, it's lined up on the center line, so the air is hitting right in the middle and then flowing over the top. So what we're going to do is push it off to the side a bit to see if we can get the air to flow up into this area to see exactly what happens when the air strikes this opening. And what you can also see here is this, well, maybe if I hold it at a different angle. You see right here, this area, it's a little hole almost. And the air was coming up, flowing over the hood, and then getting into this area and just swirling around, and then coming sort of off both sides of the windshield, but not really coming up over the top. And that is not really that's not what we want to see. But again, what we're doing, we're making these observations, and ultimately we'll test this out on Saturday when this car is on the track. So I'm going to line this up and see if I can make sure that I'm aligning the car in this vent. That's what we're really trying to get trying to get the air to flow, to see what happens when it hits that area. So I think we've got it where we want it. So let's go ahead and see what we can see. All right, here we go. Here is at 80 miles per hour, and just trying to see if it's lined up correctly. It seems to be, but I don't know that the air, we'll turn this up. So I don't know that the air from that first stream is actually making it into the, like, I think there's so much happening with this front section of the car, and you have the bumper, and then there's a little ridge right above there, and then coming up over the top of the wheel. I don't know that the air is necessarily following that line, and it seems to be breaking off from the body of the car before it gets to this point, and which is making it hard to see exactly what is going on. So this is at 107 miles per hour simulated. So I'll move this in a little closer, but it's not necessarily helping us see what's happening there. But I think it's just and so now that we've moved the car off to the side, we're definitely not having the air's not hitting, we're not seeing that same turbulence at the base of the windshield, but that's just because the air streams now are moved off to the side and not hitting it there. So it's a little tough to tell with this car. And this is just one measure that we're using, is looking at the airflow, and perhaps if I change it to the single airstream, we'll get, maybe some different look. But for right now, it seems like, let's see, I'm dialing it back down. We're at 80 miles per hour, and even though we can't see exactly what is happening, in terms of the air coming up over the top and what happens when it reaches this point, we can pretty much be safe in assuming that little opening is going to trap some air in there, and we're going to see if that, we're not going to know how much it impacts this car's speed, but we can see the effects of cars that are heavily impacted by drag on our track. They start to slow down towards the back end of the track, and we've seen that kind of over and over. And at this point, it's usually the cars that are very light that or cars that have a poor overall design and a huge front surface area, trucks in particular, that they kind of run into that problem. But we're gonna see. This is gonna be interesting. So once again, if you want to see this car race, if you want to see how it performs now that we've taken a look at the aerodynamics of the Scupa de Fuego, if you want to see what it does on the track, then once again, all you have to do is go to atthetrack.live, and you will select the choose a car option, and you can find a car that you want to race against the Scupa de Fuego. But if you go to atthetrack.live on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific, you can watch what happens. Just select, you can watch on either YouTube or Twitch, and we will take the cars to the track. I will introduce more cars to the fleet, and we will take them out to the track and see what happens. But the Scupa de Fuego, with its strange shape. So again, at a glance, when you just look at it, and I'll put it over here on the turntable. Take a look again. When you just look at the car, at a glance, it looks like, there's not much, it's got a similar kind of styling and profile, that sleek, low-angled windshield look as the Gazella. This kind of smoothed out, that transition between what would be the hood and the windshield, very smooth. But then when you look closer, it's got this hole right here. It's got these ridges. The air comes up over the top, all right, but then it gets into this hole, starts swirling around, and then what it does after that is anybody's guess. But what we know it's not reducing is drag. And if you can't reduce drag, then you're going to be in for a short stay on the track. And it's kind of interesting because when I was looking up information about the wind tunnels and how professional race car teams use the wind tunnels to assess the car's performance before they take it out to the track, one of the things that they're trying to do is increase downforce, and especially with the wings on the back, the whole point is to increase downforce. So like with F1 cars, they aren't very aerodynamic because they're trying to increase downforce to keep the tires connected to the track. And a lot of these Hot Wheels cars have wings and all kinds of different splitters and diffusers of different sizes and all kinds of things happening at the back end of the car that for a real car would be intended to increase the downforce. But I don't know that downforce I don't know how much of a role and a factor it is for these cars, simply because it's just plastic, the plastic wheels on the plastic track. And so we're not necessarily going to increase the grip. So I don't know about that aspect of it, but I do know that we are looking to find cars that reduce drag, and by looking at the aerodynamic profiles of the cars that we know are fast, should help us to find other cars that are fast before we actually test them out on the track. So the Scupa de Fuego, if you want to see it race, all you have to do, tune in this Saturday at 11 a.m. So what next? What other cars going into the wind tunnel? I have this. I found a bunch of these that I bought, these Hot Wheel ID cars, and it was a short-lived Hot Wheels line that where the cars had a little chip on the bottom that would interact with a special track, the ID Hot Wheels ID branded track, and then there was an app, and so you could race the cars and you could get information about your car's performance, but it was kind of limited, and the ID related items were more expensive, and I guess it just didn't sell like Mattel was expecting, and they canceled the line. So one of the cars that I got was this Jurassic Park Jeep, and I don't expect it to I don't even know. Well, someone would have to pick it before it goes on the track, but I was curious about seeing it in the wind tunnel because it had this huge front windshield, and put it over here, take a look at it. And for a car like this, I was just curious about what the wind, I mean, it's already got this big front grille, so the air is going to hit that and have to go somewhere. The air that goes over the top, then when it hits this almost just 90-degree angle of this windshield, then what's the air? Is it going to just, are we going to see it just kind of swirling around here, or will it make its way over the top? Once, if it makes its way over the top, will it just detach from the vehicle, and we'll see just a bunch of turbulent air here and on the sides? Will it move down into this open cabin area? But this is one of the few Jeeps like this that I have that has the front windshield. So we're going to throw it in the wind tunnel just to take a look. Not because we think it's fast, but because I want to see what happens. All the cars that we throw in aren't going to be Lamborghinis and sleek fantasy cars. Sometimes we're going to have to put in some cars that don't really fit the mold of cars that we think of as being fast, but we want to see what happens with those cars anyway, because it's all about observation. What can we observe, and then what determinations can we make based on those observations? It's the thing. Sometimes when I clamp this shut, the cars have a tendency to roll. Oh, that time it rolled forward. All right, not what we wanted. Let's get this thing lined up right about there. See if we can hold it in place. Got it. All right. The Jurassic Park Jeep. Let's see what happens with this one. All right. I'm going to step up to, this is at 26 miles per hour. So pretty slow. So that air, we can already see the air hitting this front grille, and then having to figure out, all right, how are we getting over, under, and around this giant vehicle that's in front of us, pushing this up to 67 miles per hour, and you just see all of this air is going down into this cabin. It's swirling around in there, it's swirling around over the top or in the back, and this is exactly everything you're seeing. You can just tell how slow this would be on the track against some of our other cars, just based on what we're seeing and how this air is flowing. So that's at 67. Let's say we took it up to 94 miles an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was looking at this all by myself, hadn't switched over the camera. Let's take it all the way back down so you can see what I was seeing. So we're starting off, and there we go. And so what I was mentioning is how the air is just pouring into that open cabin, but that's at 26 miles an hour. If we take it up to 53, I mean, we're just seeing air all in the back, inside the cabin. But as I move it up, we'll start to see exactly what I was talking about. When the air comes up and hits this windshield, it's just swirling around, and that is definitely going to just slow this thing down. And there was no expectation that this would be a fast car, but we're seeing why it's not and exactly what happens with the air. So the whole idea is to choose a car, find a car that the air can flow over, under, and around with relative ease and reduce the impact of drag. This is doing the exact opposite. It is increasing the impact of the drag, and you can kind of see like all around. Air's just swirling, and this is not at all what you want to see. And that's at 94. Let's see if we take it up to at 121 miles per hour. If you think back to the Gazella, how the air was pretty seamless and just flowed easily, smoothly, right over, and over, under, and around the car. This is absolutely not what you want to see, but that is the Jurassic Park Jeep. And if someone chooses that one, why they would choose it, I do not know. But if they were to choose that, they could expect for the impact of drag to be severe. And with this car, what would be most likely to happen is that it would start out okay, but pretty quickly the drag would begin to impact it, and it would, on our track, it would slow down, but it would look like the other car picked up speed, because if there was any point at which the other car was behind this one, it would blow right past it with ease. So I can't imagine anyone picking that car, but if they did, now they know exactly what they can expect. So the Jurassic Park Jeep, if that's something that you want to pick, I don't know why you would pick it, but you're more than welcome to it, because we have hundreds and hundreds of cars for you to choose from. And I actually I had an idea, and it's something that I will definitely be doing with the students, is that we're using everything that we learned about aerodynamics and drag and lift and everything that we're learning, all the physics and aerodynamics principles. And the students, the objective is for them to pick the car they think would be fastest in a series of races. Well, then I had an idea that you can learn those same lessons, but then what we can do is flip it around. And the idea is to pick the slowest car, to take everything you know about aerodynamics and say, which car do I think would be the slowest? And then we have a series of races, and the student who wins is actually the student who loses the most races. So what you want to do is pick the most un-aerodynamic car, the slowest car, and then that car, if it loses all of its races, then you become the winner. So they're still using the same ideas and the same principles and the same information, but it's different because instead of trying to pick the fastest car, now they're using what they know to pick the slowest car. And that's a way that cars like that Jurassic Park Jeep and some others that'll never get picked in a standard situation might just get picked. So just had that idea, and we'll probably go ahead and at some point with At the Track Live every Saturday 11 a.m. Pacific, we might have to do that down the line. But actually, if you're watching on YouTube, there's information on the sides of the screen, so you can see information on this side about how to pick a car that you want to see in the wind tunnel. And on the other side of the screen over here, you can find information, a little information about About Aerodynamics, our science program, and At the Track Live, where we introduce new cars every Saturday into the fleet, and we race those cars. You can pick a car, you can have a car to race. It's a lot of fun and very interesting, especially if you're a Hot Wheels enthusiast who keeps your cars, keeps them in the pack and mint on card, and you don't like to open your cars. I understand that, but all you have to do is let me know. I'll crack the car open, we'll take it to the track and see how it performs. So we will. Oh, okay, good. So everything's showing up in both places. I mentioned on Saturday that I had picked up this this 1/18 scale, I believe these are 1/18 scale Bugatti Divo, and this is one of a few cars that I picked up, but I got this one specifically because I'm going to do, when I do a lesson on scale speed, scale sizes, I wanted to use this because I also have the Matchbox version of this, and wanted to, just give the students some comparison that we have 1/64 scale, and then we have 1/24 scale, or is it 1/18? I think this is 1/18, and then I had some others from Fast and Furious that were 1/24. So 1/18 scale, 1/64 scale. But since I do have this smaller one that I pulled out to match up with its larger version, I figured, you know what, might as well put this Bugatti into the wind tunnel. And this car is it's in the fleet. So if you go to At the Track Live and choose a car and do all of that, then you will be able to select this car if that is your choice and your preference. It has raced before, and if you want to see how some of these cars that have already raced, if you want to see how they'll perform, then you can just go to At the Track. Go to our YouTube channel, and under the Live tab, you can see all of the episodes of At the Track Live, and you can see how all of the cars performed. There are time codes, so you can just jump straight into the reviews or the races, whatever you want to see. So this Bugatti, the only reason I think if I had a Hot Wheels version, which I presume there probably is, we haven't had a Matchbox car do well, and I don't know what physically is different, other than they definitely have different tires, and the tires have little ridges. I don't know if the axles are different or what else may be different about the Matchbox cars, but they tend not to perform as well on our track as the Hot Wheels cars. But we're going to take a look, because despite how this car performed when it was on our track, and I think it did fine, it just wasn't as fast as whatever car was the fastest in fleet car at the time. So we will take a look at this Bugatti, because we know that the real Bugattis are specifically designed. They're supercars, hypercars, and the idea is to definitely minimize drag so that these cars can achieve those incredible top speeds. So let me go ahead and crank this up. So we are at, so this is 40 miles per hour, and this is pretty much what we'd assume. I've moved it up to 67 miles per hour. And going up to 80, 94, and we're at 107. And so what we're seeing is, now right here at the front, which is interesting, we're seeing the swirling, this kind of turbulent air as it hits the front of the car, for the most part moving over the top, and we're not seeing a lot of separation, not seeing a lot of turbulence till we get into this back area just before the wing. And let's go ahead and turn this up. We've got more air swirling around the back end, but again, we see that with all of these cars, and there is quite a bit of air coming up. Let me move this around the tires. Can kind of see it there, and then what's happening at the back end. And this is, let's go up. So this is at 121 miles per hour. Going up to 147. And at 147, we're still seeing a lot of the air just kind of swirling around, trapped in this area. We're not seeing that kind of smooth flow over the top off the back, but that's because it's got this opening right there in the back. So similar to that Scupa de Fuego that had the opening in the front, and we saw the air kind of pooling up in there before breaking off the car. We're seeing that here. So this is at 147 miles per hour, 174, 188, and this is drop this back down. And now with the real Bugattis and a lot of these hypercars and supercars, they have openings so that the air can flow all the way through the body of the car, out the back, in exactly the way that they want it to move. Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars obviously don't have that option, but we can see how the air flows over, under, and around the Bugatti Divo, and that's a car that we have raced on the track and have seen in action, and again, I think the fact that it's a Matchbox car, there's something different with there's got to be something different with the actual construction of the car or something, because the Matchbox cars just do not, and for the most part, they can't hang with the Hot Wheels cars, and that's just how it's been for some time now. So let's see. This last car that I'm going to take a look at is another Hot Wheels ID car that I found, and this is a Batmobile. And if you're into Batmobiles, we have well over a dozen different Batmobiles. I think Batmobiles, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and There's one other kind of car that we have a lot of, but if Batmobiles are your thing, we have all kinds of Batmobiles. So just go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car, find the car that you're interested in, and we will pull that. But this Batmobile, and so many of these are just labeled as wow, I haven't even opened this one before. Let me grab this screwdriver here if I can get a hold of it, and we'll crack this. Yeah, Batmobiles for every occasion, absolutely. Cut this thing open. All right, take a look. And the thing with these ID cars that I liked was they were premium cars in that they had more detail and they used more metal, but they also had plastic wheels. And I guess that's because they needed to perform on the ID track, and the ID track was still just a more upscale regular Hot Wheels track. So that was something that I liked. They were premium cars, but they had the plastic wheels. And if we take a look here, this Batmobile, let me bring it. I'll bring it over here first. Kind of take a closer look at it, and I mean the body. This is definitely the best looking Batmobile that I have, and all of this the body is metal, and then it's got these plastic kind of yellow translucent pieces. The Batman insignia is there, and the tires, love those. Looking at, like, even the tires have detail, which is something that usually the plastic wheels don't necessarily have. It's something they save for the real riders and the more premium wheels. But Batmobile, let's go ahead and stick it in the wind tunnel and take a look and see how this version of this particular Batmobile, how it performs. Kind of move it up just a little bit. All right, let's get this thing locked in here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this is a really good. This one, I might have to bring this one. To the fleet, because this is a really good looking car, and I'm sure it's at the very least it's going to weigh more than any of the other Batmobiles that we have, because all the rest are just basic mainline cars. So, all right, we're up to 67 miles per hour with the Batmobile. 80, 94, and now it's up to 107 miles per hour simulated, and we are 121. Yeah, I think this Batmobile is going in. I'm pretty sure it's going into the fleet, as long as the wings at the back aren't too wide to fit into our launch channel. Then this car is going in. It's just it looks too good to just be sitting in a box in storage. So it's going to make its debut. Now what I do see is right around the base of the window, or the windshield. So the air's coming up over the top, gets here, hits this windshield, and then has to figure out where it's going to flow. And it appears that more of the air is flowing around the sides as opposed to over the top. How that ultimately will impact this car and its speed, I don't know. This is at 147 miles per hour. This is at 161. and now up to 174. Now this stream, that second stream, is flowing over the top, but that's not really the one that was ever connected to the car in the first place. But what we saw is that the air is flowing along the body, and then it hits that windshield, and then just goes off to start doing its own thing, one way or the other. Because at these low speeds, at the low speeds, the air is still flowing for the most part over the top, but that's only at 26 miles per hour. Once it moves up to 40, still there. And then even at 53, which is where it is now, the air is still flowing. You can still see it flowing over the top of the driver's canopy. But as we speed it up, you start to see, because you can even see if you just look at the roof line, how it gets black, because there's no, when it's at a lower speed, it's kind of gray because that air is still flowing over the top of it. But as the speed increases, get up to 134 miles per hour, that air is just hitting the windshield and flowing around the sides. It's no longer flowing over the top. Comes back around. We see here in this area, behind these wings, there's just a lot of turbulent air. It just kind of drops off on the back end, and we can see what's happening there. So that is what's happening with the Batmobile. And this is the ID Batmobile that will be introduced into the fleet, presuming it is capable of staying or fitting into the launch channel. So we will see if how that works out. And turn this down. So that's the thing. After I take a look at these cars, I do want to see how they perform on the track. So we know what we've seen here. We definitely know the Scupa de Fuego is going to be racing on Saturday. We know that this Batmobile, this ID car Batmobile, will be racing. And that leaves at least 4 other slots for you to fill. So if you go to atthetrack.live, you select choose a car, you can scroll through all of the cars that we have listed, and you can find the car that you think would be faster than the Scupa de Fuego, the ID Batman, and ultimately the Gazella R. And if you can do that, you will you'll be a legend, because we haven't found any cars so far that can really compete with the Gazella. So you pick your car, it will be entered into the tournament. We take it to our 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip and race the cars, and we'll see which car comes out on top. That is every Saturday on YouTube and Twitch at 11 a.m. Pacific. And on Wednesdays, we'll be back here next Wednesday to take more cars and put them into the wind tunnel. If there's a car that you either want to see in the wind tunnel, or that you want to that you're considering picking on Saturday for the races, it's probably a good idea to select it to put in the wind tunnel, because at least you'll get a close-up look at it. And like I said, we're going to start to see trends. We've seen how the Scupa de Fuego looked in the wind tunnel. We saw how the Batmobile looked in the wind tunnel. And then on Saturday, we'll see how they perform on the track. And does what we saw in the wind tunnel match up with the performance on the track? We've only done this 2 weeks, so we don't have a whole lot of data to look back, and a lot of observations. There's still a lot of observations left to be made, but it's got to start somewhere. So Wind Tunnel Wednesday, putting the Windsible, the Funtech Labs Windsible 1/64 scale wind tunnel to use, and just checking out some things about the cars, the aerodynamic profile. If you would like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics and how to bring that to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can just select the link in the bio if you're on Instagram, and you can figure out how to bring our program to your school, to your students. Students will love it. They will learn a lot. They'll have fun with Hot Wheels, and I don't know what could be better. So join us on Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, on YouTube, on Twitch. Can't really do it on Instagram because it's a wide screen format and only the center section would be showing. So it doesn't really work on Instagram, but you can follow us on Instagram and find out what's going on, and you're welcome to participate. So again, go to atthetrack.live, select choose a car, find the car that you want. There are 826 cars to choose from. It's a lot of cars. Scroll through, find the car that you want, take the number of that car, drop it in the chat. I will pull the car. We will race the cars. We already know that Roughshods car, the Scupa de Fuego, is going to be in the mix. The Batmobile will be in the mix, and whichever car you pick is also welcome to join into the tournament. So, until then, I am Coach James for All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live and Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, saying I'll see you at the races.